I was just kind of sitting here and I've been watching a lot of near death experiences and the people and their, what happened to them. And, I have a testimony of what happened to me. I wasn't near death, but I left my body and I encountered, some things in the spiritual realm. And I'm listening to all these people that have died. There's some really common denominators in everything. One is people don't actually speak like through their mouth. You just kind of. Another thing is that people just kind of know things. Like it just comes into your mind. That you're in space. Like is a place that you end up is. Space seems to be one of those. Like right where you actually are, kind of looking down on yourself. And then also like more like out somewhere you could call space. And then people have seen actual heaven and other universes and all kinds of different things. And these people are from all kinds of different walks of life. You have people that that don't know Jesus, didn't know Jesus, that are spiritual people, but definitely don't adhere to the religious Christianity type views. There's people that have said they went to hell. There's people that say that have died and haven't really been Christians and say there is no hell because God doesn't judge you. It's like, oh yeah, I went to this place, all I felt was love. My life played before my eyes. Now that's a big consensus with a lot of people, that your life plays before your eyes, but without judgment. All the good things you did in your life, or all the bad things that you did in your life, or how the things that you did affected people. Is a lot of people talk about the things that God showed them that He finds important by being kind to another person, even if one lady just in the grocery store line, just a small bit of kindness, and how that reverberates through that person to other people and continues on. Then you have other people, and they just say that people die and then they're like, hey, we plan our lives. We have multiple lives and we came here and we chose what's going to happen to us. And there's all these different things that people say. Even one lady is like, well, you pick your life, and I believe that she did die. I believe that she did have an out-of-body experience and, that she did see things. And she was saying, well, you pick your own life, and you picked having child sexual trauma, and then the person that did it to you, he agrees before he comes here to do it to you, which I don't believe. I think that's a major overreach, and I think that's crazy that they're putting out there. But a lot of people are saying things that happen to them when they die. And a lot of people are implying that there is no hell, that you can't, like, I think one lady even said that, you just can't mess up in this life. You picked your life, you picked your bad experiences, and then you die, and then you go to heaven no matter what. And that's how it is. So nobody has to worry about, am I going to go to hell or not? Or is there a bad place? And, and I disagree. Another lady really... Well, I know for a fact that there's evil because I've seen it myself, and we can talk about that in a minute. But another lady, which really resonated with me, said God showed her every person that she had ever met. And these people that He showed her all emanated light. And some emanated more light than others. And then He showed her the earth. Right? And all these souls were coming off the earth. They were dying and coming off, which people die every minute. And they were shooting off past her into heaven, all these souls. And then she said God was really sad. And she couldn't understand why. She's like, look, all these, all the souls are going to heaven. And then she was able to see up close. And then she could see all the souls that were not shooting off the earth and going to heaven. And He kind of explained it to her as God is full and everything is full of love energy. And a lot of people are not cultivating that love, that positive love energy in their life. And so they're very dim. And this kind of goes back to when He showed her all of the people she'd ever met, and the people that were the brightest were in front, and then you go back and the people are dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. And then God has explained to her that these people did not have enough energy to leave the earth and go to heaven, because that love energy is what propels you off the earth when you die to heaven. You build it up by your interactions with people. And she was saying that God was letting her know that when you pay attention to another person in a positive way, and I don't mean like pay attention by yelling at them, but you pay attention to what they're saying, you're actually there. You're not thinking off into the future or into the past. You're actually in that moment with that person, paying attention, that you guys, your spirits come together and you generate this love energy between you. And it builds each one of your energy to stronger and more. So you become more, if you do this throughout your day and throughout your life, your energy and positive energy, love energy that is, of God, is getting brighter and brighter and more inside each one of you. And this makes a lot of sense to me. That it's not that God is sending somebody to hell. It's that they, through their life, did not create that love and positive energy inside themselves to be able to go to heaven, unless God himself or Jesus or an angel came down and met them at death, maybe a loved one or somebody, to be there when they died, to take their hand and pull them up, because they couldn't go there on their own. And this makes a lot of sense. This makes a lot of sense, because I know from my own personal experience of leaving my body and seeing like an actual demon and things going on in that, I don't know, they call it the second heaven or wherever, the space area, that there is evil. That these people that are dying and they just have this positive experience with God and they never really believed in God, doesn't mean that they didn't live their life full of positivity, or God wanted to show them something and then bring them back to earth. But I know for a fact I didn't see or feel this positive love energy, but I did experience evil. I experienced evil. I was doing something, was draining energy from me. I personally experienced this. I experienced not, just knowing, like when something was going on, I just knew certain things, and this is, this is across the board something that, people say that have died or left their body or did different things. But what I think that people need to remember is, just like on this earth, there's not just one avenue. Everybody wants to say, this is the one thing and this is how it is. It's not that way on earth. There's lots of different things that go on earth, and I can imagine there's way more different things that go on into heaven. So a person can't just say, this is the one way, this is the one thing, this is just exactly how it is. When you die, this is exactly how it goes. Because people that have died, and I've listened to a lot of the people talk, and some go in a tunnel, some just magically appear in heaven, some see heaven, some don't see heaven, some see their body, some don't see their body, some their family members meet them there, and I truly believe that we can come back to earth and live another life. And also, you probably don't have to do that. I'm kind of under the belief that when God created us, when it says that God created us in his image, that he gave us the ability to create life, and that when we come together as a couple, we actually create a life. And maybe living multiple lives and coming back if we wanted to is because we created a life somewhere in our past, and we want to come back to help that family line that continually creates life from a life that we started, because God gave us that ability to do that. And other people may not choose to come back. It's hard to say. But I believe there's both things going on. Some people are just being created, and other people have been created. And it makes a lot of sense when you don't try to fit everything into one tiny box and you listen to everything that everybody says. The world and heaven and the way that things happen make a lot more sense. And I think that people need to open their mind. Is there Jesus? Absolutely, I believe there's Jesus. And I know also that a lot of people go to heaven, they never knew Jesus. Why? Because they have love in their heart, because they help people, because they want to change, because they're looking for something, because they cry out for someone that knows somebody in heaven, or that knows Jesus, or you have an angel or you don't have an angel, but they end up in heaven. They end up in that energy of love. And other people are just angry and bitter and hateful, and they have snuffed out all, if not all, of that positive love energy. And so when they die, they just sink into the earth because there's just nothing there of light left in them, because they chose to snuff all of that light out. Now, is that a perfect scenario and I'm 100% right? Probably not, and I wouldn't claim to be, because how would I know? I don't think there's anybody alive that actually knows exactly every detail or every circumstance or every fact, or, it's only I can see what I've seen, and I know that there's thousands of things going on that I can't see right around me as we speak, that God and evil and demons, they do all kinds of things to you when you both good God and angels and bad demons, for whatever reasoning they have. You have people to say where he comes to earth to learn lessons, or as a school, or I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. I think that, some people come back. I know that people have came back, they've died, and they've came back for whatever reason. It doesn't really matter. What really matters is that there is a place that's outside of God in heaven that you can end up. And that would be at your own accord, because you chose to snuff out the goodness in your own heart. Because you chose to focus on hate and anger and unforgiveness, and thought about evil things to do to other people, and not thought about, hey, how can I help somebody out? How can I cultivate goodness and happiness inside myself and in others? Now, is everybody perfect at that? No, they're not. And God knows that maybe you're trying, and you're calling out to him thinking, I don't know how to help myself. And I believe that then he sends somebody to stand there to hold your hand, even when you can't cultivate this energy yourself. He's there for you. But you have to recognize him. You have to know he's there. You have to call out to him, or you have to cultivate, your energy yourself, through him, because obviously all that love and energy of positivity comes through God and heaven, not through the other way. I know that after listening to all of these experiences, I take away, that you can tell that these things really happen. I know what happened to me. I know I left my body. I know, I came back in, and different things went on. I know this. Now, did I get to see Jesus? No. Did I get to see angels? Yes. Other people felt the immense love of God. I didn't feel that, but I wasn't there evidently in the spot. I wasn't dying. They were. So there's just so much going on that a person has to look at themselves. You can have all this information that you can take in, reading the Bible, listen to people's experiences, and then take all that information and put it together. Because it's not one piece of information, it's a collective of things, of real people's experiences. Now, am I saying that this person that says, hey, there's no way to mess up, and no matter what, you're going to go to heaven, and then that person's a liar? No, that's just what that person's experience was and what they think. They're making that assumption, like, hey, I wasn't the greatest person. I didn't believe in Jesus. I didn't do the things that religion said, and I still ended up in heaven with God. So that must be for everybody ends up that way. No. Everybody is an individual, and every experience is unique in itself. And even though that was the case for that person, you can't take it for granted that you can just do whatever you want to anybody. Think about yourself always, and then end up in heaven when you die. It's why take that chance? But if you watch all these things, the consensus is love is the energy that powers everything. And it's what, people want, what everybody strives for, love and happiness. They do. They buy cars, they want to make money, they want to have nice houses, they want to have a beautiful wife or a husband and children, all because of love. They want power. Maybe it kind of replaces love. I mean, power is kind of an overwhelming thing, gets people off track, but it's still on that basis of fulfillment. You're looking for fulfillment in your heart, and love is that thing that fills you up. When you have complete love for something, and I have felt that in my life, is you are fulfilled. You're not looking for anything else. You stop looking. You don't feel like you need to find something new or something different. You're like, I'm okay right where I am. I'm okay. I've found what I'm looking for, and I can be happy right here. And we can all find that, and we can all be happy right where we are if we choose to cultivate. And now, I can't say everybody, you're in the middle of a war and things are getting destroyed. Obviously, that's a bad situation, and you're not going to be happy right there. But you can trust in God that you're an infinite being, and then that's an experience that's happening to you, but you're going to go on forever, and no matter what happens, this is just a temporary experience, and you can focus on that, and you can think about that. And if you truly believe in God, and you truly believe in everything, you will know that nothing can destroy you. They can destroy this body, but you are not your body, and you will keep going on, and you are an infinite being. And if you are with God, you're going to have an infinitely wonderful existence throughout eternity. But you got to realize that. You got to get on board with God. You got to know that He's there for you. And even though you're right there, what can you do in that situation to bring help and positivity to somebody's life? And if you quiet yourself and listen, God's going to show you a way and a path. And if you die, then you get to go to heaven, and that's going to be a reward. Death is not the ultimately horrible consequence that can happen to somebody. Death is the actual trophy that you get to win, especially if you're with God. You're like, great, I finally get to go to the most amazing place. So think about that when you're going about your day. And strive to have love in your heart. Strive to be present in the moment and connect with the people around you and bring positivity.